Today, I want to talk about my favorite movies of all time, the Blade Runner series. Blade Runner is actually based on a 1960s novel by Philip K. Dick, and it's all about the interrelationships between androids and humans. Now, in the latest installment of the franchise, Blade Runner 2049, we follow a protagonist called Kay, who is portrayed by Ryan Gosling. And he has a girlfriend that he comes home to called Joy, and she is human in all ways barring the physical, because she's actually a holographic android. And this is really interesting because they seem to have this really meaningful relationship, the two of them. And it really makes you wonder, how close are we to creating this kind of android that we see in Blade Runner? So hence the topic of this video. Can we already recreate Joy from Blade Runner with the technologies and tools that we have access to today? Well, the answer is yeah. I mean, sort of, at least. We can't really make the hologram work, but we can definitely strive for a digital representation of Joy. First things first, we need to split the project up into two different parts. We have on the one side the physical representation of Joy, which we'll cover using a service called UNEEQ. And then on the other side, we have the digital representation, or at least the personality and the dialogue that she can exchange, and we'll cover that using OpenAI's GPT-3. So let's tackle them one by one. To create our physical model of our movie character, we are going to be using a tool called Digital Humans. This company specializes in delivering animated 3D models for digital customer service avatars, and here's what that looks like.
Nice to meet you, Billy. How's it going? Have you settled into the new year yet?
So that's really cool. The service allows you to select a human persona for your customer service, and then you can give it a speech model so that it can talk to your customers for you. What we'll be looking at today, however, is using one of those models ourselves and combining it with our own speech generation program. As you can imagine, there are some things that you can customize here, like choosing the avatar, which I went for the most casual while also being close to what we kind of see in the movie. And there's also an option to select a voice, so I made sure to match that to the movie as well. Now you can select your method for supplying the voice lines that the model should speak here, where you can select most of these big players in the space of conversational AI, like Google's or Amazon's conversational tools. Now if you wanted to personally design the conversation, you could do that, but instead we're going to select our own API, which will be built for this video specifically. Now, let's look at how we generate our responses. So, GPT-3 is awesome, and if you have not played around with this, I highly recommend it. After you sign up, you can go into the playground and you can see what there is to do, but one thing that is really cool is the way that we can generate text. To just shortly summarize, GPT-3 is extremely adaptive, and you're basically free to ask from it whatever you want. So here I have a couple of different models that you can preload. Let's look at some examples here. For instance, we can tell it to summarize some text and adapt it to children. You see it takes this whole piece of text and it just tells us really quickly that Jupiter is closest to the sun, it is large and is named after a Roman god. So that's great, works like a charm. Let's look at another example. So in this one, we asked GPT-3 to be a translator for a couple different languages. And we kind of give it a hint as well about the format by putting that one there so that it knows we're doing a list. And yeah, there it goes. So this is very flexible. Now, let's look at our own app. And as you can see, I have a project called Joy here. And let me explain what this is, because it is a whole bunch of text. Basically, this is a piece of text that tells the model it will take on the personality of Joy. And what I have added is simply the entire wiki entry on the character Joy, telling it all about her. And then secondly, for the mannerisms and the speech, I added some sample dialogue here that I just took directly from the movie script that you can just find online. Now, let's look at what this can actually do. So as it turns out, the AI will now treat us as the protagonist in the movie. The most bizarre thing here is that we can talk about anything that happened in the universe of the franchise, and even stuff that didn't happen yet. And we can actually have a conversation about it. So we can discuss things that were never written into the script, that were never in the movie at all, but maybe they are something that the character should know about, and we're just able to have a conversation about it. What did we learn in general here? Well, we learned that we can use GPT-3 to generate the POV of any movie character and make them come to life in text format. But really, we want to take it a step further. So let's hook this up to our digital persona that we created and see it in action both visually and with sound. To connect the two, we need to have a look at GPT-3's documentation, where we can find information on how to use the API. The documentation lists a number of libraries, out of which I have selected the Node.js one, OpenAI API. This will take you to the information to use that library. Now let's check out our code. So this is what our code looks like, and although this code is nowhere near production quality, it will definitely do since we're running all of this on our local server instead of in the cloud. You could put this up in the cloud, but instead I used a service called ngrok that allows us to expose the URL of an app that is running locally. Using this, we can now add our API URL to the UNEEQ agent so that it will prompt the API with whatever input a user gives. We can then, in turn, send back the responses we get from GPT-3 in the backend. Now that we have everything set up, let's see how it compares to the real thing.
I think I ruined my shirt.
I'm sure I can fix that for you. Let me take a look at it.
I think I ruined my shirt.
I'm sure I can fix that for you. Let me take a look at it.
So as you can see, she took the response and made it a little bit different. The program tends to do that and tries to avoid using the same answer twice. So let's try some different questions that weren't in the movie. Where are you from?
I'm from here. I'm from Los Angeles.
Okay, so that's true. That's actually where the movie takes place. Let's try one more. What do you think of the Wallace Corporation?
I don't like the idea of them making replicants.
Okay, and last but not least, can you tell them to like the video?
You should leave a like.
Alright, thanks Joy. And there you have it. We built our functional movie character using UNEEQ and GPT-3, and obviously you can rebuild this with any character that you like, as well as having as much input data as you like to make the responses more interesting. For now, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.
We'll be back.